It's Santeria magic, and I got it downtown I got this love potion downtown LA at a witch shop, and she says you wear it, the men will come running. And I wore it down to Silver Lake, and I got followed. Men out of their cars said, "Hey, beautiful." Somebody gave me a rose. I also wore it to the Planet Fitness downtown, and I got a few eyes. I should not wear it on the bus, but I have been.
I don't know if you need to have a spray for men to stare you down at Planet Fitness.
No, I know. I am wearing it to the wrong places. Like, I should wear it to, like, Nobu, not where, like, guys jerk off on a bus.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Probably not.
I don't need to impress a guy with a DUI. I need to, like... Do you want to smell it?
I don't know. What if I become too enamored of you?
Horny? Here, I'm going to put it on me. It's the musk. I don't know how they get it, but it's the scent of a sensual woman. That's what they say. I don't know.
Pheromones.
It's pheromones. I don't know how they harvest the pheromones. If there's like a
Is it like an anal gland squeezing?
Yes, of like men. It's just men's ass juice. You spray it on you. They love it.
There's married men in the room, Amber.
They're safe. They're
Keep
fine.
them on the other side.
They're safe. They're fine.
I mean, it doesn't smell. It smells nice.
Right? But it's pheromones. I don't know how they get the pheromones, but it's human pheromone.
I just don't know if you need help having men leering after you.
I want, I think it's fun, and it's a love potion. I'm going to see if it works. We'll see. I'll finish it off. I might get married.
You think?
I might.
Okay.
I might.
Well, welcome to the very sensually scented Someplace Underneath. I'm Natalie Jean.
I'm Amber Nelson.
That is the only sensual thing happening on this entire
No, it's
episode.
a very horrible show. It's going to be a great show, but like the news, I actually got pretty sad looking at it, and I had to get a Red Bull just to perk myself up because what?
You're sandwiching all of these stories between a Red Bull and Tears of a Clown.
Right.
So you can, things that make you happier. For this part where I show up, I'm the turd cream in the middle.
You're not the turd cream. You're so smart.
No, I don't think that's
You're
true.
so smart, and you're like bringing up all this stuff that like we should know about if we want a happy, healthy society in the future.
We can hope so. I mean, that is the ultimate dream, right? It's the ultimate dream to talk about things enough that we learn and then things get better. That's always the hope.
I saw this movie. It's a Russian film that traumatized me.
Yes, I remember you talking about it.
Yeah, it's called It's Hard to Be a God, and it's basically like a society where the Enlightenment never happened, and people just torture and punish each other.
This is the Enlightenment we're in?
Yeah, this is the Enlightenment, and
Cool.
we have to make it a better world somehow, some way, or we cannot live in this, because they would pickle people alive. Don't watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, we got some comments here.
I was actually just watching, have you guys seen the program that's on Netflix called The Program?
No.
Highly recommend. It was out a couple months ago, but I just got to it. It's basically about the troubled teen industry. And as somebody who I feel like I read about it a lot, there was so much information that I learned from it. And it's really interesting and funny too, because it's produced and covered by survivors from the industry, and they break into one of the old industry buildings and do a whole thing inside of it. It's very...
What are these buildings? What would they do?
They basically...
I'm sure not teach them how to play patty cake for fucking sure.
I mean, a little bit closer to that than teaching them anything about how to feel better or feel happy or get school, any kind of education. They would be in for over a year at a time, a lot of them, and their parents were paying. We're going to actually talk about this gentleman on the season, which is coming up in July, guys. We're season 4. We don't have a date yet, but we're starting season 4 in July. We're going to be talking about this gentleman, but a man became basically a billionaire, creating this oversight organization that basically is an umbrella over all of the troubled teen industry major institutions.
Okay.
So it's called WASP, and it has made
wasp,
him...
like the animal that everyone hates?
Yeah.
Got it.
It made this guy so wealthy. He basically owns a small town in Utah, and so parents pay $70,000 a year to have their children tortured and assaulted by people with no qualifications. So, yeah.
I mean, I get that there's like troubled teens out there that should go somewhere that offers them like help and safety and boundaries. But if you put this in the wrong hands,
the problem with a lot of those situations, I think, is that the parents might feel really unsure of what to do, and those kind of programs are predatory. So instead of giving maybe the parents any skills to help their kid, they just throw their kid into a cell, essentially, and be like, I don't know. You guys figure it out. You guys deal with it. And I'm not even saying all the parents are evil who do that, but I think removing the kid, unless they're literally going to be like a harm to the other kids in the house, is only going to hurt that kid more. And most of these kids like got caught with, like the one woman who is sort of running the entire documentary, she got caught with a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
what?
And she was sent for like 17 months into this
What?
program. Yeah. They would also make the kids admit to things they hadn't done, which is a form of mind control.
Is it to keep them in there longer,
Yeah.
like Little Ash says?
Yep, it's basically it's very openly, like they found the documents for the people who work at these institutions, and it says they're incentivized. Little Ash, they were incentivized to keep the kids in longer, which is what the paperwork literally says that they've discovered from the one specifically that they cover on the program. Yeah. So again, that was a lot of information dump, but you guys should totally watch that if you haven't. It's really, really good.
Okay. All right. Maybe those will be illegal in our lifetime. Fingers crossed.
They're still pushed. I mean, they're getting harder to put together in our country, but they're not illegal. And also,
It sounds like a sleepaway camp in jail. It's just teaching people to go to jail.
it is jail. Well, actually, one of the kids who got in trouble at the one school that they were covering on the documentary got put into the local jail for causing a riot, and he was like, the jail was a million times better than being in that school, because they do psychological torture where like you can't move your body for 8 hours at a time and things like that, like things that you do like war crimes essentially,
Yeah, but it's
to
fine. but
children.
Yeah, there's kids, because kids, they barely have rights.
Yeah.
Oh, what does L'Oreal say?
L'Oreal, my cousin went to a school in the middle of nowhere, New England, with a lot of kids who went through troubled teen programs, full-on kidnapped, out-of-bed style. Yeah, it was a great school, but that aspect of the industry they cooperated with is terrifying.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, this was mainstream as recently as like a couple years ago. Remember, Dr. Phil was really big on those kind of things, and Montel and all those daytime programs were openly taking kids and putting them in those schools. What's her name? Bad Baby was one of them.
Really?
Catch Me Outside girl. She fights against these now because on Dr. Phil, they forced her into one of those camps. And she was like, it was not helpful.
I remember was it Dr. Phil, one of those shows, they had one of those camps and showed it in like a positive light, quote
They always
unquote.
do.
Because it was this military guy and he's talking to this young boy and he said, do you want me to be your dad? Do you want me to be your dad? He's like, he started crying. He says, yes, I do. And he hugs him. And then we're all supposed to be like, oh.
And it's
Like,
propaganda.
Now I'm just like, wait, what was going on?
Yeah.
What happening?
You got to watch that doc. It's
All right.
really good.
I'll give it a- I'll give
It
it a
goes
whirl.
through a lot of that sort of psychological warfare that they go through. Paris Hilton went to one of those schools. No one of us. She did, and she's really still speaking out. She was just speaking out about one that was an American school, I believe in, or like a continental U.S. school in Jamaica, I believe. I forget what it was called. I don't want to mess that up, but that was one that just a couple people got arrested from who were running the school a couple months ago. I mean, it's still going on. Yeah, so it sucks.
Okay. But that's not what we're all going to talk about today. Don't worry. We have a whole lineup of stuff.
Yeah.
That,
Most importantly, something that I think everybody was asking for on this date, 2 white women talking into microphones on Juneteenth. Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, we are here to talk. We're not. I'm not going to embarrass myself, but it is Juneteenth, which is an important holiday. And if you didn't know, on June 19th, 1865, nearly 2 years after President Lincoln emancipated enslaved Africans in America, Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, with the new news of freedom. More than 250,000 African American embraced freedom by executive decree in what became known as Juneteenth, or Freedom Day, with the principle of self-determination, citizenship, and democracy magnifying their hopes and dreams. Those Texans held fast to the promise of true liberty for all. So that's from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. So I'm just going to say that and then not continue to.
Well, thank you for reading that, Natalie.
You're welcome, everyone. I'm just here to educate about Juneteenth.
I mean, yeah.
No, I'm sorry that we're talking today. I didn't
know
to celebrate Juneteenth.
That,
we should sit silently this entire stream. Sorry, we're not going to. But what were you saying, Amber?
No, nothing.
So yeah, speaking of, well,
MC Day GINN said the state of Texas didn't tell them that the slaves were freed for a long time. I believe several years.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure it was a really smooth transition, and
right. But we've got some more
great now.
Some great Southern stories today, like Louisiana.
I don't know if I'd call it. Do you call them great stories?
I don't know. We're at Louisiana, where I'm from. Do you have to have and we both thought it was the 12 Commandments. I don't know why, and I think that's a Mel Brooks.
So okay, we're going to talk about this. But I want to say real quickly, Chug Missy, stolen by Elizabeth Gilpin, is firsthand account of her experience with similar situation in Appalachia. So thank you for that. I don't think I know of that, and I will check that out if anybody else wants to. So yeah, this is some. Louisiana's having, generally they're going through stuff a lot in Louisiana.
Right.
But one thing that's happening currently is there's an issue with the 10 Commandments being forcibly displayed in public schools. But Amber and I were both saying 12 Commandments. And I think that we both came to the conclusion that it is a Mel Brooks joke. That is how my brain is destroyed. By comedy.
By comedy, maybe. I genuinely thought, and I was raised Christian, I thought it was 12 Commandments. But I think they hid a lot of stuff from me. It was mostly sit down and shut up and put out. That was our 12 Commandments.
Yeah, sit down and shut up.
Put out.
2 commandments.
It was, what is it? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, covet thy neighbor's wife.
That's why we need him back in public schools, Amber.
That's why we need him there.
Yeah, so this is actually something that's really happening currently. This is from an AP News article. New law requires all Louisiana public school classrooms to display the 10 fucking commandments. We are slipping very quickly down the side of a mountain. You guys, this is pure stupidity. I'm sorry, but this is such a political nonsense forcing this into schools. This means nothing. This makes no sense. It's to try to prove a point, I guess. But I don't even know if anyone knows what the point is exactly.
The means to the end is that it's a bat signal of going into far right fascism. That's it. Like, this is going to be the pot in the boiling water, the frog in the boiling water situation. It's not going to stop here. We all kind of laugh and think it's silly now, but wait till you go say the words "Hail Satan" in school. Like, you would be thrown into one of these children's camps.
It is crazy that they're doing this in Louisiana, and they're saying, well, it's not being, tax dollars aren't being used. It's all by donation, but it's required to be there. Yeah. Not, if you would like it to be in your school, which is already a weird issue. It is now being a requirement to be in schools. Okay, so here's the 10 Commandments. You shall have no other gods before me, capital M. You shall not make idols. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. And then the things like, then don't murder also. You should not commit adultery. You should not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet. I don't know what relevance the majority of these have to people.
Well, it's
now.
Just indoctrinating them to Christianity. This is the tipping point of, if you're not a Christian, you're going to go to jail. That's what these people believe. That's where I'm from. We didn't have the 10 Commandments in our school, but it was pretty conservative, and then it went pretty liberal for a while, and now it's going way far conservative. So this is just a little boop, a little toe in the water of what Project 2025 is going to be. I don't know if you've read into that, and I might be jumping the shark here.
I think we've mentioned it briefly, and we should talk about it more for sure on the show, because this is definitely something you brought to my attention.
This is the Heritage Foundation. They've been doing this for a long, long time. They've been like coming up with these plans, and it's like a 800-page document. It's very dense. Anything that's important is always so dense and boring. Boo! Make it fun and silly. Anyways, but it's a long, long document, and there's things in there that says, like, if you're a single mom, you can't have a boyfriend.
Carrie Jo reading the 10 Commandments and then ranking mascots by fuckability. LPN is so diverse. I thought you were that is very funny, but I thought it first said we should rank the 10 Commandments by fuckability on Tears of a Clown, which I also think would be very funny. Because you shall have no other gods before me is kind of kinky if you really think about it.
Oh, right. Yeah,
You know?
he's the top dom.
Yeah. To be honest, these 10 Commandments, this is stupid. Like, these are stupid. I'm sorry. Other than you shall not murder and you shall not steal.
It's just making kids, forcing them to be Christian. That's it.
It doesn't affect, this does not apply to life in general.
But if you're at school and your brain is so malleable and you're sitting at your desk and like twiddling your pencil every day for 8 hours and you can't leave and you stare at these 10 Commandments, that's just going to like get in your brain.
I just
do more.
Okay, so I think people who are fighting for this, there are people who think that this is actually going to be helpful to kids, but I also think just a bunch of people think that this is funny trolling against gay people, I guess, or something, and they're just fucking with the schools.
They just think it's like liberal snowflake tears.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, except there's like huge consequences to this kind of thing, so that's cool. And of course, they're still fighting against having like the Baphomet statue places and stuff, because that is actually a troll. To prove a point, not because they're actually trying to make kids listen to these weird ass fucking rules. You shall not make idols. Honor your mother and father is literally damaging if your parents are not good people.
Right. I saw
whatever.
a picture of these girls at the Taliban control, and they were 12 years old, and the caption said, like, after 12, you can't go to school. And there were Christians writing underneath it saying how great of an idea this is, because, look, you can get the birth rate up, women aren't educated, they won't leave their husbands. So this isn't just like a 10 Commandments thing. This is we're going to control every facet of your life, and we don't want women to be educated. I know we just spoke about Juneteenth, but this is we don't want a lot of like other people that aren't wealthy white men to have any kind of power.
Well, this is definitely also tied to white supremacy. Like, there's no denying that. Even though they fall, people who are trying to push this might say, oh, we only believe in one true Christian God. They obviously believe a lot of other conservative religion things. The main difference being they're not white-centered, which is what Christianity in America is, even though that doesn't make any sense. It is about white nationalism, white supremacy for most of these people.
Yeah.
Coveting your neighbor's wife is just dumb and risky. Guy down the street's wife. Okay. Yeah. Heavy microgroup 420. Yeah. It does not specify how close in proximity to your house is okay. You're right. And I think that is the point of 10 Commandments, is you got to figure out the ways around it, because that's what all the skeevy little pastors do whenever they do all of their little sins. I know we have another Louisiana story, but actually we should just probably maybe bring up this guy, Pastor Robert Morris, who's been in the news. If you guys can skip ahead, maybe this is a good time to bring up this guy whose head somehow looks like a pear. I don't really know how his face is doing that. So this is Robert Morris. He is making a lot of rounds in the news, largely because he is on Trump's faith squad, or whatever they're called. He's one of a number of pastors and religious leaders who's doing these sort of things, but because he's connected to Trump, whatever, get it in the news however you can. But so he's a pastor who, what do you think he did? Can anybody take a guess? Anyone?
He gave a lot of money to people in need. And he fed them, and he educated them, taught them to read, helped young girls read, because it's, proven that the more women are educated, the better quality of life is for children.
He does seem to take interest in young girls.
He does.
That's about the only thing you got right. He definitely he lined his own pockets. He's very, very wealthy. He's a prosperity gospel guy. He is multimillionaire, and he also kind of openly admitted, let's not go that far. So if you pull up the article from Tron, I don't know how you say that website. The headline says, famed Texas pastor Robert Morris resigns after confessing to molesting a child, which is actually not what he did. He did molest a child, but that's not what he said he did. So that's actually not an accurate headline, but that is what he did. So there was a woman who, at 12 years old, he was staying with her family as a young pastor, just spreading the word. He and his wife, they were in their 20s. The little girl was 12, and he started assaulting her at that age, and it went on for 4+ more years. He made a statement also about this entire incident, because finally somebody covered her story, and it stuck this time, because this woman has actually been speaking out about this since she was a little girl. She reported this as it was happening, which of course nothing was done about it.
Right.
But if this is his statement about the incident where he was essaying this child, well, and also his elders, partly. Pastor Robert has been open and forthright about a moral failure he had over 35 years ago when he was in his 20s and prior to him starting Gateway Church. He has shared publicly from the pulpit the proper biblical steps he took in his lengthy restoration process. The 2-year restoration process was closely administered by the elders at Shady Grove Church and included him stepping out of the ministry during that period while receiving professional counseling and freedom ministry counseling. Since the resolution of this 35-year-old matter, there have been no other moral failures. Pastor Robert has walked in purity and has placed accountability measures and people in his life. The matter has been properly disclosed to church leadership. Here's Robert Morris' statement. When I was in my early 20s, I was involved in an inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in a home where I was staying. It was kissing and petting and not intercourse, but it was wrong. This behavior happened on several occasions over the next few years. In March of 1987, this situation was brought to light and it was confessed and repented of. I submitted myself to the elders of Shady Grove Church and the young lady's father. They asked me to step out of ministry and receive counseling and freedom ministry, which I did. Since that time, I have walked in purity and accountability in this area. 2 years later, in March of 1989, I stepped back into ministry with the full blessings of the elders and her father. In October of 1989, Debbie and I, his wife, met with her family, and I asked their forgiveness, and they graciously forgave me.
Fuck you, man. So my point to this is it sounds like he never went to like a jury, judge.
Oh, absolutely not.
None of this. So this is, again, I hate to bring it back to Project 2025. They want to gut all of sort of checks and balances. They want to get rid of FBI, CIA, anything like this, any sort of local state police, because they want to keep doing this. They want to have these old fucking pedophiles.
You don't really even need to get rid of them. I mean, we watched it happen over and over again with the police knowing. We watched it happen with fucking Josh Duggar.
Yeah, they don't give a shit. Yeah, so Earth Empress, I'm curious what the counseling was, quote unquote. They probably just slapped him on the wrist and said you're a good old boy. Yeah,
I mean, truly. So this young lady who's now an older woman, she's spoken out. She's on news stories. Her name is, I believe, Cindy. I don't want to get that wrong, but she is speaking with her face showing and everything, being like, I've tried to talk about this a bunch of times. This is the first time anybody's really listened to me. And she essentially said he began just coming in. Her name is Cindy Clemenshire. He began coming into her room at 12 and molesting her. It happened for years, and she told her dad, and her dad said to him, "You need to go get right with God, and if you don't, I'm going to call the sheriff." So his big punishment was that he wasn't allowed to get up and do his little dance on stage for 2 years. And whoever they're calling the elders is just like some other douchebags in the church. And they all counseled each other and they all decided they were all okay.
Yeah.
At no point did it center on the victim, which is something that a guy I follow who goes by New Evangelicals pointed out, and I really recommend his channel if you want to hear from somebody who still calls himself a Christian but is being highly critical of evangelical
I follow
circles.
him on TikTok.
Yeah.
He's also on there.
Yeah. He very rightly pointed out that so many of these guys, and specifically this guy, centers this on himself the entire time. There's at no point where he says, I feel the shame of the damage that I caused to this child. I'm trying to work on what's wrong inside of me that would cause that because of what I've done to her. It's all about how he's resolved it with God.
Well,
and her father.
And her father, of course, because they don't think women are people. They don't really think we're full human beings. According to the Bible, God made Adam in his image and Eve from Adam's rib. And that's just told over and over and over again, basically saying you're not a full human being. In fact, they do believe that, many people believe, I know folks who say that these little girls, because this happens over and over again, have been sent by the devil to tempt these men.
Oh, that's another thing.
Don't even think she's a human being. Like, and then now you're going to put your fucking commandments in a school? I have to follow you? You who don't even think I'm a person? I have feelings, I have thoughts. You just don't even give a fuck?
No, they definitely don't give a fuck. And he has said that because in his sermons, which you can find online, he has brought up his moral failings, but very carefully worded it to not mention that he was in his 20s and she was a child when this happened. And also in his sermons where he brings up his moral failings or whatever, he talks about plural girls.
Of course.
Because I don't believe this was the only girl. That's rare. It's very rare that that's the case. But also he blames demons, he blames the devils in him, and he also blames, to an extent in the sermons, the girls.
Of course, because they were sent there by the devil. They're not human beings. He's like he is closer to God as a man.
Yeah.
So he is like more perfect. He is more human. These are demons coming at him. They're not people.
Yeah, and also Earth Empress, if what he's saying about her dad knowing is true, they need to arrest her dad as well.
Yes.
Well, Cindy says it too. Cindy says she told her dad did this and this. And I feel like this happens daily, like so many of these parents are just going, well, it's the pastor. We don't, he did what was she wearing? And she was wearing pink pajamas, by the way. She talks about it pretty
fuck him, man,
bluntly.
And what's going to happen to the next generation, the generation after that? You keep doing it to these girls. These girls are going to maybe raise kids someday. What do you think the earth is going to be like 100 years from now if you keep allowing these pedophiles to fuck around?
Well, I mean, it's been forever, and we see this. It just continues and continues. And speaking of that, on that vein, the victim said that after she told her dad, she got a phone call from this pastor's wife saying that she forgives her. So the teenager, the minor at the time.
Like it was her fault?
Yes.
Of course, yeah, they think it's her fault.
So the wife said, "Oh, even though you tempted my husband, I forgive you because I'm godly." Go fuck yourself. As an adult-ass woman saying that to a kid, I know this happens all the time with wives in the situation because they're just conditioned to do it. But how can you wrap your mind around saying that to a little girl?
Yeah.
Even though you tempted my husband, right. I forgive you.
That's why these women in these like sort of culty religions, my family included, they just hate other women. They hate younger girls. I even woke up mad today thinking about some random shit my aunt said to me when I was 13.
Yeah.
Like, how do you say that to a little girl? of like, you're tempting, you're hurting. And I'm like, what? I'm just walking around in like a t-shirt. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, D's nuts. These people are insane. If I found out that someone molested my 12-year-old daughter, I'd literally need physical restraint because I just tried to unalive that motherfucker. I feel that energy, and I support that energy. It's so hard to imagine. And I know we have to also put context on, like, even when we were growing up, it was so normalized to be sexualized as a little girl. Like,
right.
I experienced it daily starting from the age of probably 11 or 12 from respected adults. And it was considered normal.
And these are the men. I mean, these are the human beings, Natalie. These are our leaders. So if they are sexualizing you, obviously something you're doing is wrong as a child.
And the thing...
Don't you know that? Come on,
I know,
Natalie.
I know.
They are our leaders and worshipers, and we're not human beings.
And the thing with the Pastor Morris guy, we've seen this before also. It happened a lot with the Duggar situation. When they are found out and then are seen and perceived as overcoming this demon, they're almost elevated even higher.
Right, because they've been tempted by the devil, aka a 12-year-old girl,
and faced it, and they got right with God, and so now you should even think of them higher, which is what he did. He has, like, I think there's like 100,000 people who like tune into his sermons and shit. He is a multi-millionaire from doing pastoral work, and now he's in his 60s, and he is going to, by all predictions, just say, well, I'm retiring, and he's going to go live in a mansion until he dies.
Fine. Yeah, no big deal. Meanwhile, there's like generations of other women that are just torn apart.
Yep, he's not going to receive any sort of punishment other than people yelling at him on the internet, and he can just go sit in his fancy house and not look at it.
Just watch Fox News all day.
Yep.
I get so mad thinking about like little girls going to older women and saying like, please help me, and the women looking at them as competition. Because then you're growing up and you're just totally isolated.
Competition for the worst trash.
Person. Yes.
The worst trash. That is one of the most devious tricks that's ever occurred in our society, is convincing women that these like low-level, low-value dudes who are so stupid are people you should be fighting over.
They're the best. And it goes like across the cultural divide. I mean, not divide, sorry, across the cultural, like all over the world. Like female circumcision is done by other women. It's done usually by your mother. So
Right.
Imagine your mother, it's going to be very graphic here, but again, we have to hear it. Imagine your mother cutting off your clitoris with a rock and your outer labia vagina and sewing it together. And a woman did that to you. So you're going to grow up, you're going to hate other women, and you're just going to feel so alone.
I certainly would feel a lot of feelings about it. Yeah. Oh man, that is an entire discussion in of itself. But yeah, female circumcision is
But it's
brutal.
just, women designed to attack each other, because in this sort of system where the man is the prize and he is the real person and you're not a real person, and you being raised in this isolated environment where you are a devil and you are wrong.
And also to take away the pleasure
To
center.
take away the pleasure center. I mean, you're fucked.
Yeah.
I see. This is why, I don't know. I'm upset.
Yeah.
I'm upset, and I don't want to make it funny with jokes, so I don't know what to do.
I mean, you're doing great.
squirming in my
I love
seat.
your jokes. I need them sometimes,
Well,
Amber.
I can make
Dark.
jokes right now. I'm pissed
Yeah.
the fuck off. But
Melissa Z. I never understood how their God is so powerful but can't stop demons from making them sin. Sounds like God ain't doing your shit. That and also something that you bring up a lot, Amber, is these guys who can't be trusted. Like even in his little notes he wrote, he surrounds himself with accountability and all this stuff. He can't be trusted to control his own thoughts and decisions, but he's also supposed to be the leader of everybody. Like those guys are so tempted by my fucking clavicles that they simply can't control themselves.
So what else? Other part of my body do you have to hack off or cover up? What else? Should I just be a vagina, like a floating hole for men? Is that what the world should be? Tell me. I want to know your end game here. Just a floating hole.
God knows. I mean, I don't know what I don't know if they know what their end game is.
No, it's just punishment and torture. It's like that fucking Russian movie I saw where everybody's just like mad. And there was a scene where they're like, we're killing whores. And there was just like this giant cock with spikes on it. And I was just like, fuck you, man. And it wasn't even like, it was just women they were attracted to. Everybody was fucked up and it was piss and shit.
I don't know what this story is.
It's just, this is what's going to happen.
This movie is confusing.
It's 3 hours long. I am fucking traumatized.
Has anybody else seen this movie? Because I haven't. So you're just saying stuff where I'm just like, are you sure you didn't just have a dream?
No. Let me know in the chat if you've seen it. But it's like, if we don't talk about this, it at least raise a stink. And I know we're like sort of these armchair sort of bitches right now, but if we don't...
Armchair bitches. I should just use that as my title on my business card.
I'm an armchair bitch. Thank you. And we just like let it happen. What do you think's going to happen? We're in an age of... We should be in an age of enlightenment.
I remember, Sari streams. I remember being told in 5th grade, I was 10, that I needed to watch what shirts I buy because graphic tees had images right where my breasts would eventually be. This was told to a group of 10-year-olds by a math teacher. It's just, sorry if you're still watching. Was the math teacher a man or a woman? Just out of curiosity, like biologically, because I'm curious about that. Because I think it could go either way, and either way, it's really sad, in maybe different ways. Yeah. Wow, we're getting a lot of different people saying this in the chat.
Let's be honest, it was probably another woman. I don't know. I'm just saying that.
As slaying it, I got called down to the vice principal's office so they could tell me my breasts were distracting the boys in class. I was 11. He was a 50-something-year-old man.
Oh, my God.
That is so traumatizing, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
We need to take a second and just not imagine sexually, but like, because we're all adults in this room, what does a 10-year-old look like? They're a fucking child. Can you imagine saying that to a kid? Like, your breasts are distracting me?
It makes me want to, like, crawl inside of myself. That is so unfathomable to me.
More. Yeah, we more people saying a soccer coach told me I needed 2 sports bras. He was a man. I was 13.
God, there's
you guys, so many people in chat saying this.
And it is normalized through so many different, and so this is, probably in public school too, because I rag on churches and stuff all the time, but this is also a secular issue. It's definitely not just in the churches.
I remember in public school there was a whole joke about, oh, they got something in the water. Look at all these girls.
They still make that joke. It's a weird fucking thing to say.
Developing? What?
Why can't anybody just let them be little kids? Why is everybody like this?
I read this story today on Reddit that there was this like soccer team in school that they now have to implement. For the soccer games, they have to implement, metal detectors and like all this other protocol. Tickets have even gone up in price from like $10 to $50, all because of the extra protocol and security, because men would show up to the public school soccer games with cameras and film the little girls. And instead of kicking these dudes out and saying like, you're fucking weird, and honestly beating them in the face is what they deserve. Why are you here as a strange man filming a child? And these girls were from 7 to 14 is what they said. So why are you doing this? Instead, they implemented all these like, well, we got to have metal detectors to catch the cameras. No, what you do is you take these men out back and you stomp on their balls. Not in a sexual way. That's probably what they want.
Yeah. We've had, I think even last week we were just talking about, I wanted to talk about it. I don't know if we did, if anybody wants to remind me, but there's discussions about castration and like the morality of that. And I don't actually know how I feel about it, but there is some forms of chemical castration that get connected to sex offender cases. That does happen. But I looked into what that means, and it is just taking a medication. So the idea of calling it chemical castration is kind of misleading, because it doesn't really do anything permanent or exact the way that like actual castration.
Oh, I pictured like acid, like someone throwing acid.
I also would have guessed that, but no, or like some kind of surgery.
Yeah.
But it's taking meds.
And I guess if you think about it, like the chemical castration, let's stomp on their balls, like I just said, that could also fall in the vein of like public torture for fun. You know?
yeah,
And that's also bad.
Yeah,
I
it
want
is.
that.
That's the morality issue with it. Like, I see very little reason to not implement that, except for, like, I advocate for, I want prisoners to have, like, humane treatment. I don't believe in death penalty. So then you go into the question of, like, well, then can people just, like, cut fingers off if they, you know, like, when does that line? But also, I don't have a lot of
I don't know.
sympathy.
Because if
But
you're like filming little girls playing soccer and you don't know them, I mean, I want to say go stomp on their balls, but then again, we have to live in a civilized society. But then again, why are they filming these little girls? I don't know, Natalie.
I don't know either.
What's the morality line here?
You talk about guys like Stephen Stearns, who is currently facing death penalty for what he did to his girlfriend's daughter, and he is probably the lowest form of scum that I can imagine as a human being, and all I want him to do is to feel pain, and I don't think that's healthy for me.
No.
I don't think it's healthy for us, but I don't know what else to do, because it's like we've normalized this so much in our society that it doesn't feel like there's any way to stop it other than just like cutting their balls off. Like, I don't really know.
Like a dog.
At least Stephen Stearns is never getting out of jail no matter what, but he might also be facing death, which, whatever.
Oh, we have more comments here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, man. I was a tomboy growing up, and people used to always make comments about how prettier I'd be if I wore dresses and act like a lady. Man, again, just another one. For me, it was my mom sexualizing everything and making me insecure and scared. My school, all public, was just like school and being a kid, or maybe I just never paid attention to these things. They were never super prevalent, but your mom was just like always sexualizing you.
And you wonder if, like, not that that is in any way acceptable at all, but it makes you wonder, was she hurt and then she doesn't know how else to discuss this with you? Like, because I know that that was a lot with the generation, like my parents' generation, and, you know, some of my in-laws and things like that, that they kind of went like, well, nobody's going to do anything, so you need to, like, take care of, you need to cover up, because what I went through, nobody gave a shit.
Right.
Like, I don't know how else to protect you other than to tell you it's your fault, like, which is not okay. But I do think maybe some older generations,
They don't know the therapy behind it.
they don't know what to do other than, like, maybe I can prevent her from getting, you know, assaulted by just saying, like, even though that doesn't work, we know that doesn't work. If you're wearing a plastic sack as an outfit, you can still get assaulted, and you know,
Right.
a shapeless shift does not prevent you from getting assaulted.
And by the way, this love potion, I feel so bad I sprayed on, and now we're talking about this. I am a fool, I'm an idiot, but I'm also a woman, and I know what I'm doing, and I don't mean this for, like, kids. I feel really uncomfortable, but I don't know how to dig myself out of this. But I'm not going to spray it again, I tell you what.
You're fine. You didn't do it before this conversation.
No. I thought we were going to talk about the Bible, and then I got mad, and then we kept going, and then we went into all this.
You guys,
know?
I'm getting so many of these horrible childhood stories, and I'm so sorry that everybody went through. I feel like it's so sad that we all can
God,
talk
read
about
panic
this.
buttons.
Yeah, I recently talked to my 44-year-old male partner about how we were taught to deal with boys snapping bras. Boys will be boys. That means they like you. I mean, yes, 100%. Anything really where they were doing stuff with your clothes or your body was very much like, oh, they're just boys.
They're just boys.
Yeah, and also, weirdly, this just made me think of the weird phenomenon that I'm sure still happens, but definitely happened when I was a kid, where, like, older people, especially older guys, would be like, oh, if only I was 20 years younger, like, you're gonna be a killer when you get older. I wouldn't let you out of the house if you were my daughter, like that kind of shit. Like, when you're 12.
It's disgusting. I remember being so disciplined and in trouble all the time, and then some of the men in my family were just like, well, he's just a boy. And meanwhile, they were doing very bad things. Two of them wound up in prison. And I am not in prison, and I am not breaking the law, but I'm still seen as, like, to be honest, this might be TMI, but I'm still seen as, like, the black sheep of my family.
The problem.
Right. And I'm like, I'm not in prison. Like, I didn't sell illegal guns. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, but you shook the boat. You rocked the boat. Why couldn't you just let things be, Amber?
Right.
No, that's definitely, I think,
I don't know.
a very unfortunately common situation. And I know it sounds like we're doing a lot of like finger wagging. I think that we're all capable of making mistakes and growth, but there are certain like lines to me. Like we learn how to speak about kids and how to behave as a society over time, and we learn things that generations behind us didn't know. But that doesn't mean that like that wasn't weird even 10, 15, 30 years ago to comment about how 11-year-olds' breasts are going to tempt people. That's still weird. Generations ago, like how did you not hear that and go,
right,
that seems
weird,
strange?
Different times. Like 10 years ago, an 11-year-old. I went to LDS private school, and we were forced, the girls, to lift our arms and bend over while the male teachers walked around and inspected us. If we showed any belly or chest or back, we were forced to wear humiliating clothing for the rest of the day.
But like
this is like our generation. Like, I'm not talking about the medieval period. I'm not talking about, the 1920s. This is like 10 years ago.
It's the cognitive dissonance, and I do think some people may be in that process, and I'm really sorry that happened to you. I think there's people who thought that they were doing something moral, and I think there were some people who got off on that, and I don't know who was who, but it just makes me think of what we talked about maybe a month or so ago, where that girl was paddled in school like a year ago in her senior year. Her male principal and vice principal bent her over the desk and spanked her and laughed at her. That is still a thing that is occurring in school legally. I think, was it Louisiana? It was one of those states, Amber. I'm sorry, it's one of your states.
One of mine. Well, shit.
Yeah, we didn't. Okay, wait. We got 10 minutes because we're going straight. You're going straight from this into.
I know we're going to a sexual thing after this, and I want to spray. I was gonna spray the pheromone thing during the tears, but now I'm like, oh,
well, listen.
I feel weird and I hate it.
All of those. What are they? Logos?
Yeah, they're mascots. It's like the Michigan.
They're all adult mascots,
yeah,
okay?
it's all adult mascots.
So it's okay.
Between two consenting adults, be crazy.
Be crazy. Let's see. What should we talk about? Okay, so we're 10 minutes. We're going straight into tears, so we're going to have to do a hard out. But has anybody checked out the Tribeca film that is, I think, eventually going to go, I think I heard Netflix or something. I'm not sure. It's called An Update on Our Family. It's about Micah Stauffer. Do you guys want to watch the trailer with that? It's like 2 minutes long. I don't know if we want to take those last couple minutes.
We could do that, or we could do my video. It doesn't.
Which one?
The alien.
Oh, wait, we'll get there.
Okay.
Don't worry. Actually, yeah, let's do the Micah Stauffer one, and we'll talk. I wanted to also get to, let's do this next week for sure. I want to get into the Brazilian abortion bill that's up right now because it's horrific. And also, we're also going to get to the Irish pregnancy centers. What do you call that? Prisons?
Right. The Catholic Church in Ireland basically human trafficked and murdered a lot of babies.
We're going to get to that too next week, but why don't we watch this this trailer? I want to hear you guys' thoughts on it, to be honest. So I'm going to play this trailer. Oh.
Did you follow what went down with the Stauffers?
Yeah.
Be very careful.
I'm curious if you know the name Micah Stauffer.
We'll stay away from that one.
People are scared. If you are even associated with her in the slightest, then you will also get canceled.
Can you tell me about the Stauffers?
You want me to be honest? I have been subscribed to the Stauffers for years. Micah introduced me to the mom vlogging world.
People have always loved watching families.
Because they can relate.
I looked up to Micah a lot.
Micah knew the type of content that people would respond to.
Having babies is good content. It just is.
YouTube shares about 50% of the ad revenue that they generate with the creators.
I'm not saying that it's anyone's intention to objectify these children. It could come across.
No.
That way.
When you're a YouTuber at this level, you have to set up the next big thing.
Micah was saying it's quicker to adopt a child
All right.
from China.
She already had a name picked out before she even had a child picked out.
Huxley.
One of the
Okay, so that's the beginning. Let's just go from there. 'Cause
They're
we're getting
basically
kind of-
more upset that they might be associated with her than like what she did.
Yeah, so we covered this family actually on, I think, the first parasocial exploitation series. We weren't using their names, but this mother has since stopped vlogging, and because this child has been renamed and rehomed like an animal, we can say that his name used to be Huxley. He was adopted from China for arguably just for attention and money. And when he became inconvenient for this family, they got rid of him.
Because it's faster to adopt a child from China than to like birth one, to grow one on your own, I guess.
No, she has many bio children. I think it's way more because it was seen as a savior. It was a savior complex thing. I think that was like getting applause. And just talking about the story of the adoption was getting her hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. It's a disgusting story, but this is a documentary about her story, kind of, but also talking to other family vloggers. I'm very interested in what it is. I'm curious about how they're going to portray family vlogging in general, because they use proud family vloggers in that trailer. I'm hoping they're going to address it as a whole and not just what the Staufers did, which of course is egregious and terrible, but a lot of those people who were being interviewed are current vloggers and exploit their children daily. So I'm wondering if that doc is going to be about all of it or just Mike. I don't know. I find that curious, but that just played at Tribeca, and it will be airing somewhere. Yes, so I just wanted to play that a little bit because we've covered this so much, and we covered this family without really using their names, the Staufers. But yeah, you should look into that trailer, and I think it's on it's on Tribeca's website if you want to check it out. And we'll talk about it more when the actual thing is available. But okay, and the last couple minutes, let's cut to here, because last time we didn't have a nice video at the end.
Right. So this is a nice video. Basically, just like watch out for your parents and what they watch, and also yourself and what we all see. And I know we're talking about stuff, but we're also having an open dialogue. Let's start with the clip.
What is going on?
And good morning. We have an NBC News special report.
Oval-shaped object appears in major cities. Gordo, there's something going on!
Is being delivered by the emergency alert.
All right, I'm getting a little nervous here.
We interrupt regular
Dear
scheduled
God,
programming.
this world is, what the fuck?
What's going on?
Gord! This is,
Oh, what is this?
I don't know, but I'm getting nervous. See, I told you guys we needed a fucking plan! We need a fucking... Call Ronnie. Call Anthony! Gordy!
What is that?
I'm afraid. I'm gonna call Nani. Okay, my phone is not fucking working! Okay.
Oh, they're saying aliens.
What? Oh dear God! Call Nani right now!
They're saying aliens.
Stop playing around! Hey, Gordy? I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'm afraid! Gordy!
What should we do?
Stop sitting on your fucking ass and help me! I told them we're supposed to have some kind of hand cream. We don't have any shit we're supposed to have. We don't have anything we're supposed to have for this emergency!
What's the protocol?
Dominic, I feel lightheaded. Dominic, I feel lightheaded. Is Florida in the danger zone? Just fucking tell us! I can't read this fucking map! Put on CNN! I'm not fucking kidding! I don't feel good. I feel lightheaded. I'm not kidding.
Given the uncertainty concerning these objects,
oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I need to go. Come help me! Oh, fuck!
And
Dominic?
flights have been redirected to the closest airport in proximity to the
Dominic.
At this moment,
Stop! Why are you laughing, Dominic?
outside of danger zones are urged.
Why are you fucking laughing, you high? What are you doing? Anthony!
Gordy! So
fucking damn it!
She thought aliens were coming. She's like, wait, I knew we should have had a plan. Like, what's the plan for aliens? I don't think there is one.
I think it involves some kind of hand cream.
Or she said hand crank, I think.
Oh, hand crank like for battery?
For battery.
That makes more
Freaking
sense.
Out.
My favorite part of all of that is the clip they use at the top is a Matt Lauer clip, which
he's not there
fired
anymore.
like 10 years ago for being a predator. But,
oh my God.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice to use a Matt Lauer clip at the top.
God, I guess, it also means, like, especially for the next presidential election that is coming up very soon, be careful what you see on the news, fact check everything, think about everything, talk about things with your peers, and also be willy-nilly with your brain to maybe say, hey, this might be wrong.
Also, but if your mom has a funny reaction, I guess film it.
Film it and put it on the internet.
It's good to know how she'd react in that moment. That's like have you ever seen that video where the chick convinces her mom that Jesus was seen?
Show it to me. I think that mom is a little something.
Well, yeah, that one makes me kind of sad.
Yeah.
This one's more funny.
This one's funny.
Except he might have given her like a heart condition. She was saying she's feeling lightheaded. I was like, oh no, this would end poorly if she has to go to the hospital.
Oh my God.
But,
what would it be like for you, Natalie, if I were to prank you, like live news, everyone has to dance? You know what I mean?
I would be like, yes, please. I'm sick of doing work. I'll dance.
Breaking news. We all have to break dance or else you die.
Are you kidding? I'd be like, oh, I must have died and gone to my favorite place, which is having to dance.
Yeah, right. Like a dance hall. Well, this has been fun. We're 5 minutes till the thing. I think they need to reset.
Yeah, we gotta turn it around. Sorry, guys, we cut it real short.
But we had a real nice chat today.
I'm sorry for everyone's trauma in this chat. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wish we could have gone to all of it. But just transition your mind and do a different thing now.
Right.
Stay for tears.
There we go. It's gonna be funny. It's going to be so funny. I'll see you guys in 5 minutes.
Oh.